Hello. How is everyone today? Make sure this is still working actually. Yeah, cool. I forgot to pull the game up while I was waiting. Before we start, today is the last day. Oh, if you're in the United States, first of all, to end or old enough, today is the last day, so go vote. You can always come back and watch this later. Go vote. But on other news, it has been very cold here the last few days. Winter is definitely here now. It has been a odd week, I guess. I accidentally cut myself opening a can. Nothing too serious, but that definitely hurt. And then I tried to make homemade spaghetti sauce. It looks disgusting, but it tastes exactly like spaghetti sauce that you would get in a can or whatever, a jar from the store, so I'll take that as a success. But other than those things, I don't think anything happened besides it being really cold. I'm pretty sure we're finishing Rod's good ending today. Like, that is the goal, is to finish this ending. I don't know what we'll play next week. I'll have to look. Because I really don't want to jump into another route right away. I do want to, like, mix it up. Because this game is very long. And I don't want to just do this for like 3 months straight. But I think we're going to try to play, I don't know. I don't even know what games I have. Give me 1 second. I will be right back. Okay, I'm back. What was I doing? Oh, yes, games. I mean, do we want to try to play a new horror game? Because the last one kind of failed. But I don't know what horror games I still have that we haven't, like, at least tried out. I mean, obviously, I have more horror games, but do we want a horror game or do we want something more lighthearted? Or do we just want to have a random spin the wheel decide for us what game we play? I mean, the wheel's gonna decide anyway, but do you want me to just put like everything I have onto the wheel, or do we want a specific genre? because I am fine with either. But yeah, just let me know. If not, I'll decide, I guess. But anyway, into the game. Before we go into the game, has anyone noticed, because I just noticed right here where the slipper is, this circle goes over the slipper, just barely. The slipper is not the one that's on top of everything. Okay, that's all I saw. Oh, we're on chapter 7. That's what I thought. So we have 3 chapters. Today is the first time that I'm leaving the palace on a day off. Usually I choose to stay inside. Oh, this is where we go and try to find out more about Rod's curse. Okay. Whereas the other servants always leave to go home, I never see any reason to leave since this has always been my home and the merchant has never been home. Besides, it's not as if I wanted to return, not after that conversation we all shared last time. Thus, I have spent most of my days asking questions about Mother's reign, inquiring when and where I can. The opinions do not surprise me. I was so scared of her, one wrong move and she'd have you thrown in prison. The townsfolk would always wait for her to pass by before leaving their houses. She was a tyrant. The kingdom is a better place now that she's gone. There is no reason for them to lie to me. The more I hear, the more my old life makes sense to me. I now know why the king never seemed to love Mother and why the people hated her, and the reason why people look at me in such fear. However, it's been months since I have been glared at in public. If there's one good thing that this curse did for me, it is that it allows me to travel around town without being noticed. As Vairika's shop comes into view, my thoughts shift to the reason I have left the palace in the first place. If Rod will not tell me anything, I will have to ask Vairika. She must be related in some way to his curse. I paused outside the door to the toy shop. With a deep breath, I pushed the door open. I know this is a toy shop, but it has just the randomest toys scattered about. Like, you have an old looking train up here. It kind of looks made out of metal. Then you have an assortment of random wooden things down here. You have dolls on the top shelf. But then you go vertical to do plushies. And then bugs. Why have a random lamp in the drawer or the cubby, not sitting out where you would actually put a lamp? And then you have this giant tree with a fake bird in tree houses. What kids, like, you know what? I'm going to a toy store to buy tree houses. To buy bird houses, sorry. It's not even a tree house. Welcome. The moment she sees me, her expression becomes confused. Oh, you're the princess's maid. Lucetta, was it? I nod at her. You've never come in here alone before. What can I help you with? I wanted to ask you something. It's about Prince Rod. Prince Rod. Did something happen to him? Is he okay? He is fine, she sighs with relief. Then what is it you would like to ask? I just wanted to know if you knew anything about Prince Rod's sudden muteness. Vairika stares at me for a few moments before she shakes her head. I only know that it happened soon after I met my fiancé, Decamon. What reason do you have for asking? Well, I tried to think of a plausible explanation for this, and I immediately considered Emily. Vyrika is Emily's best friend. Surely she would be willing to help if she knew I was doing this for Emily. Prince Rod has been very quiet recently. Prince Emily has been worried sick about him, but he refuses to say anything, even to her. Oh, I forgot to turn the music on. Whatever. There. Now the audio's on. I have been trying to gather information that might be helpful in discerning the cause. I stare at her expectantly, hoping that my gaze holds nothing but determination. Finally, Vyrika smiles. She's lucky to have a dedicated friend like you. I am still not accustomed to the fact that Emily considers me a friend. Before she became the princess, I was her first confidant. We were like sisters, but now that she's living in the castle, we no longer have the luxury of spending so much time together. I worry about her constantly. Even around me, Em always tended to keep her problems to herself at first. She doesn't like to bother other people with them. It's hard not to agree. With the way Emily was always smiling before, I never thought she had any problems in her life. It was only recently that I discovered that she is hiding all her loneliness and pain behind a smile. It's a relief that she's befriended someone who cares so much about her. I don't know if I can be much help, but I'll tell you what I know if it will help Emily. To start with, I'm not exactly sure how everything changed, but it all happened so suddenly. All I know is that after the night I met Decamon, our relationship changed. At first he still smiled, but recently he's been avoiding me. What happened between the two of you the night you met your fiancé? Nothing. Rod and I did not meet on that day. Prince Rod wasn't there? No, but soon after what happened that night, Rod grew distant. What happened? It was a stormy night and I was heading back home. I took the route by the riverbank because it was the shortest route. It was foolish of me. The road was slippery and full of mud. I lost my footing and fell into the water. The waves were strong and I was certain I was going to drown. I don't remember what happened in the darkness of that water, only that when I woke up, my head was in Decamon's lap. It was the first time we met, but nonetheless, he carried me home and he came by every day as I was recovering. And then he came to visit even after I recovered. I tried not to get my hopes up too much because what could this nobleman see in me, a mere commoner? But I still ended up falling for him. You have no idea how happy I was when he said he loved me too. It was a dream come true. Of course, every girl dreams of marrying a prince. It was in all of the fairy tales that I read as a child. None of that was related to Rod. How does this relate to his curse? You said your relationship with Prince Rod changed after that night. What happened? Vyrika sighs. I told Em and Rod about Decamon soon after the incident. Em was happy that the two of us had fallen in love, but Rod didn't say much of anything. That's when I noticed he started growing distant, and when I realized that he had lost his voice. He still won't tell me anything, but I figured that he was... Her voice fades, but I know that she is referring to the curse. So Rod lost his voice after Vyrika met Decamon. The mermaid's curse must have something to do with the tale. The little mermaid traded her voice for legs so that she could be with her prince. But that night, the only person who found their Prince Charming was Vyrika. Rod's curse must have something to do with Decamon and Vyrika. He became distant with her after finding out about Decamon. Why? Then there is the fact that he spoke to Vyrika even if he was distant. It was only when he found out about their wedding that he became so cold. I frown as I try to organize my thoughts. How did it get to be this late? I'm so sorry, Lucetta, but I have to close up shop now. Sorry for the story. I know it's nothing to do with Rod, but it was after that incident that he began to act strangely. I don't think I was much help, but I shake my head. You have told me more You have told me what you could. Viorica walks me to the door, opening it so that the both of us can step out onto the street together. I really hope that you are able to help Emily and Rod. I hope so too. Did you see Ophelia the other day? I catch sight of the two noble women sitting on a bench together not too far from the toy shop. They are referring to Ophelia without her title. How disrespectful. Who would have thought a peasant like her could almost look like royalty, but her dress. As the queen, she ought to be wearing silks rather than satin. I do not know why, but I bristle at the comment. Everyone is entitled to their opinion, but the fact that they are speaking so bluntly in public means that they have little worry of being overheard. I'm not sure what the king saw in her. Well, you know what they say about ladies lacking natural beauty. Her talent must lie in other, more persuasive areas. She must be very persuasive indeed if the king saw it worthwhile to marry her. As the two women laugh, I feel something hot begin to burn in my stomach. Viorica takes a sharp breath beside me. Since I became a maid in the palace, Ophelia has been nothing but kind to me, a mere servant. She has all the right to flaunt her status and title, yet she remains humble. I now know that this is why everyone in the palace loves her. Common women like her can only keep a man's attention for so long. I start walking towards them without thinking. Lucetta, you have no right to say those things about the queen. The two women are clearly surprised by my interruption. Both of them glare at me. And you have no right to eavesdrop on us. Eavesdropping. Anyone could have heard you. Their mouths fall open. One of the women look at me for a long time and then sneers suddenly, as if something has occurred to her. I thought you looked familiar. You're the crown princess's personal maid. I see you always follow her around when she's in town. This is none of your business, girl. Why do you care so much about our opinions? Perhaps it's because the girl idolizes the queen, thinks she may also go from rags to riches. What? Oh, you do have a point. They stand and advance towards me. Do you want the prince for yourself, girl? If a commoner can become a queen, it's not too difficult to imagine yourself as a princess, is it? How foolish. You're better off dreaming smaller dreams, girl. They laugh, and the irritation in my chest blazes into full-on anger. This is what Ophelia has been dealing with for the past year. She is being treated so cruelly when she has done nothing but love the king, and I also ridiculed her just like this. I forced myself to look at the cruel woman as I moved my hand to the pendant around my neck. I was just as cruel as them. I briefly feel Viorica's hand as she rests it against my shoulder. Lucetta, let it go. Her Majesty wouldn't want you to do this. But I can't just let those women talk about Ophelia like this. I pull away from Viorica and stand firm. The queen has a good heart. She is far more noble than either of you could ever hope to be. I think back on the times I was cruel to her. Ophelia could have easily reprimanded me for my behavior. She had the right as my stepmother, yet she has been nothing but kind to me. Ophelia never got angry at me, even despite my treatment towards her and her family. She has always treated others with kindness, even when they are cruel to her. Judging from the bitterness in your accusations, it seems like you are jealous of her. How pathetic. The other women march towards me, and my free hand instinctively moves to hold her hand just before her palm reaches my cheek. I will not tolerate any insults towards the queen. A soft light emits from the pendant, and I can only stare at it in shock. I got another good deed by defending Ophelia? The woman snatches her hand away. How dare a peasant like you talk that way to us? You have no manners. I like I think I mentioned this the first time we were going through this, but I like how neither of them questioned this bright light just shining from our necklace all of a sudden, when it is clearly night out, so it would be a bright light. It's not like, oh, it's daytime, and the sun could probably hit the necklace, and that's why it, like, blinked or whatever, so you would think nothing of it. But it is nighttime. Obviously, a light's coming from the pendant, and no one questions it. I could ask you the same. What happened to yours? How dare you? Don't you know who we are, girl? I will see you pay for your implant. Whatever. Our words have far more weight than yours ever will. I will go to the king myself to tell him about how rude you were. I can pass on that message myself. I turn and see Rod walking towards us, his expression cold. The two noblemen hastily curtsy. Your Highness. The noblewomen turn pale as Rod's eyes fall on them. Actually, we have an important dinner engagement. Yes, we do. The two noblewomen curtsy before quickly departing. What are you doing here without your guards? What trouble have you gotten yourself into now? We need to not tell him this time. It is nothing. If you refuse to tell me what happened, I will have to assume that the noblewomen were telling the truth about you. Lucetta has done nothing wrong. In fact, I think Lucetta only did what you and Emily would have done had you heard the awful things those women were saying about your mother. What? She stood up for the queen when she didn't have to. Then why didn't you just say so? Would you have believed me? Rod drops his gaze from mine. You never gave me a chance to believe you, did you? He would have believed me. How am I to know that? Rod is like a walking contradiction. Rod glances up again, this time to look at Vairika. We shouldn't keep you from returning home, Vairika. I'll take Lucetta back to the palace. Vairika's eyes narrow and she looks ready to say something, but Rod has already reached out for my hand to pull me along behind him. When we are out of sight of Vairika's shop, Rod stops, releases my hand as he turns to face me. Did you really think I would refuse to believe you if you told me the truth? You never liked me. You have no reason to believe me. Rod sighs, running a hand through his hair. I told you that I would help you break your curse, right? That offer alone should be enough for you to know that I... Rod turns away, his sudden look embarrassed. That I don't dislike you anymore. You're expecting me to just assume that? How would I know unless you made that absolutely clear? Well, I'm making it clear now. I understand. Anyway, thank you for standing up for my mother. It seems like you don't require my assistance in breaking your curse after all. He glances at my necklace. Congratulations on your second good deed, Lucetta. Suddenly tongue-tied, I find myself looking everywhere but at Rod. When I have once again gathered my senses, I turn to the road. My eyes narrow as I recognize the path we are on. This is not the way to the palace. No, it isn't. We're going to the Marchand. Why? Because I was on my way there before I was forced to take a detour because someone was drawing attention to themselves. What? But Rod ignores me and we walk the rest of the way to the Marchand in silence. Waltz is the only person in the reception room when we enter. Prince Rod? Princess? It's a little late for the two of you to be here. I had meant to be here earlier. Is Lady Parfait here? Waltz nods. I'll go get her. Wait here. As soon as Waltz leaves us alone, Rod turns to me, his expression rigid. Rod steps closer and he grabs my shoulders. I wasn't able to say so earlier because we were out in public, but you should know just how much danger you're in right now, and yet you thought it was okay to go around on your own. It was my day off today. It is not unreasonable for me to want time for myself. Time to yourself. Don't you understand the meaning of be careful? Why would you do something so foolish as going out into town alone? I cannot help but bristle at his tone. Why are you so angry? Because Rod trails off and looks away. Because your family. So you finally acknowledge me as family? I notice his cheeks turning red. To be honest, you're less of a family member and more just important. Important. Because of all that you do for Emily, you're important to my sister. He looks uncomfortable as he says the words, and I cannot help but marvel at his embarrassment. Why is he so embarrassed? But Rod changes the topic as he turns away from me. Why were you with Vyrika? I can only think of one reason you speak to her, my curse. You thought you'd find out about my curse through her. I shrug. I can only assume that your curse has something to do with Vyrika. I look up when Rod says something and stares at the curious sight before me. He has taken Sabby off his shoulder and is holding the doll in his hands, away from his face. The two seem to be engaged in some silent conversation. Then gently, Sabby speaks words I can hear. This is the right thing to do. You need to let her help you, Rod. Rod bites down on his lower lip before briefly closing his eyes. Eventually, he returns Sabby to his usual spot on his shoulder and turns to me. Fine. You're stubborn and you're going to be and you're not going to quit investigating unless I tell you, are you? You're right, Vyrika is the reason I was cursed. Rod sits down on the settee and lets out a heavy sigh. His eyes are far away as he speaks to me. I was in love with Vyrika, but I wasn't brave enough to tell her. I just followed her around like some kind of puppy. One day, Vyrika hadn't come home, and it was raining very heavily, so I went out to look for her. I found her walking along the bank of the river. I called out to her to tell her to be careful, but I don't think she ever heard me. She slipped in. Rod swallows. He clenches one of his hands into a fist. She fell into the river. I dived in after her, and I somehow managed to get both of us onto the riverbank, but it didn't look like Vyrika was breathing. I didn't know what to do. I started panicking. I ran off to try and find help, but I couldn't find anyone in the storm. When I returned, she was gone, and I rushed to her house, and a doctor was already there, tending to her along with Decamon. Rod's gaze was vacant as he nods. When Vyrika began to fall in love with Decamon, I felt helpless. Did you not tell her that you were the one that saved her? Why would I? Vyrika was so happy believing that she and Decamon were fated to be together. I couldn't do that to her. But surely if you told her. Rod interrupts me. I want the people I love to be happy. I don't care if their happiness causes me pain. I'd rather bear that alone instead of bringing down those around me. My chest aches as I watch Rod's face. I never would have guessed that Rod would be so selfless. But that didn't stop me from thinking that I could make her fall in love with me instead. I decided to become what I thought Vyrika wanted most, the Prince Charming of a fairy tale she so adored. And so I asked the witch to turn me into one. She stole my voice in exchange. Only then did I realize that she had inflicted the fairy tale curse upon me, the mermaid curse. The next day, the king turned up at our house, proclaiming that he'd been looking for my mother for years and that he'd never stopped loving her. When the king married my mother, I became a prince. It was just as the witch promised, but it didn't matter. I didn't see it when I made the deal with the witch, but I couldn't be blinded forever. Decamon and Vyrika really do love each other. They make each other happy. Nothing I can do will ever change that. Prince Rod? Oh. Parfait pauses in her tracks as she sees me. Have I interrupted something? No. Rod moves over to Parfait, but he stops to glance at me. I won't be long. Parfait looks at Rod and then at me, her face puzzled, but she does not say a word as Rod and her leave the room. I did not get a chance to discuss Rod's curse with him later that night, nor did I get the chance to speak with Parfait and Delora about my suspicions of Sir Alacaster. Days go by, but I still find myself overwhelmed by the preparations for the ball. Things become more frantic every day. making it difficult for me to have any time to speak with anyone. Eventually, I decide to write a letter containing my suspicions of Sir Alcester. I tell Parfait and Delora that I believe he might be the witch they are looking for. I also add that I believe Fritz might somehow be involved, though my suspicions are not as well founded with him. To make matters worse, he went and disappeared. I have not heard anyone mention his name for a long time. I am forcefully pulled from my thoughts when I collide with someone. The linens I have been holding scatter all over the floor. Excuse me, I did not. I look up and my voice trails off when I see who I bumped into. Lost in your thoughts, Sir Mythos looks at me, something veiled in his smiling eyes. I suppose those are the linens the Queen asked for? Yes. Please excuse me. I begin gathering up the linens, but as I reach out for one, Sir Mythos picks it up first. Allow me to help you. I will be fine. But this is partly my fault. Let me assist you. I bite my lip and do not protest as Sir Mythos helps me gather the rest of the linens. I'm contemplating my schedule for the rest of the day when I realize that Sir Mythos has been talking. I don't suppose you have the idea who that maid is? Maid? There's a cold amusement in Sir Mythos's gaze. Surely you heard the rumor of the young prince having been seen with a royal maid somewhere around town. Rumor has it that Prince Rod has found love among the common folk, much like his royal stepfather has. Rod with a maid? As far as I'm aware, the only maid he has been seen out in town has been... I freeze as Sir Mythos straightens, patting down his clothes for dust before holding out some of the linens to me. If it is true, I wish him the best, though I wish he would be more discreet about it. A royal scandal is the last thing we need right now. I shakily take the linens from Sir Mythos as he inclines his head to me. Have a good day, Lucetta. I walk to the dining hall in a haze, my mind whirling with the implication of what Sir Mythos just said. I am sure it was those noble women who spread this rumor. Ah, Lucetta, thank you for bringing these to me. Just leave them on the table. I curtsy before placing the linens down as commanded. If that is all, Lucetta, I straighten at the tone at the tone of Ophelia's voice. When I look up, I see that her expression is carefully still. I am about to ask you something that you might not want to answer, but I am very hopeful you will. I will answer if I can. Good. Ophelia says as she sits down on one of the dining table chairs and folds her hands on her lap. I've been trying to ignore this since palace gossip is mostly false, but I can't help my curiosity. I wanted to ask you about your relationship with my son. What? I understand you and Rod were out together in town a few days ago. Do you want to tell me what happened? We need to explain the situation this time. If Ophelia is asking me about the rumors, then I can only imagine what sort of story those women made up. Prince Rod was just on his way somewhere when he chanced upon me. When he saw that I was in trouble with two noblewomen, he stopped to intervene, that is all. Rod did say the same thing. Then why did you ask me, Your Majesty? To see what you thought about the situation. I don't think anyone should get a say what your relationship with Rod is. My relationship with Rod. I like you, Lucetta, and I'm certain that you're good for Rod. If I had my way, I would let him court you. I feel heat in my cheeks as I trip over my words. The prince and I are not in a relationship. A member of the royal family cannot end up with a servant. Where there's love, there's hope. Social status shouldn't stop you from being happy, Lucetta. Then what about the fact that I am Rod's stepsister? I bite down on that statement fiercely. I already know what role I am playing here, and I cannot break it. Ophelia looks at me with a complicated expression before she sighs. I will not push you on this any further. But be careful, Lucetta. Your closeness with my son and daughter has not gone unnoticed. I do not believe in limiting relationships because of one's status, but I understand. I curtsy as I move towards the dining hall's entrance. What did Ophelia mean by that closeness not going unnoticed? Later that day, as I am waiting outside the throne room for Emily to finish one of her classes, two maids walk towards me and stop in front of me. Lucetta, is it? What is it? I have already finished all of my tasks for the day. Oh, I'm sure you have probably rushed through all of them so that you could hang around the prince and princess tonight. The head housekeeper has been giving you a lighter load so you can afford the time to play around. I blink at them, confused. I have no idea what you're talking about. Don't play dumb. All the servants know what you've been doing. Just because you're Prince Emily's personal maid doesn't make you better than the rest of us. I'd be careful not to get too big for your boots, Lucetta. Are you threatening me? What if we are? Then I'd be very disappointed in you. Princess Emily. Emily moves to stand beside me, a disapproving expression on her face. I do not expect such petty cruelty from the two of you. You should be ashamed of yourselves, Your Highness. You really do have a talent for getting yourself into trouble, Rod. Rod pauses briefly, his eyes meeting mine for a second before he looks at the maid. Don't you have better things to do than bully my sister's maid? We apologize, Your Highness. We will be on our way. The two maids run off. Emily turns to look at me. Are you okay? I'm about to answer when I notice that Rod is abruptly walking away from us, and I frown at his back. He's only just started being nice to me, and now he's back to acting as if I don't exist. What did I do? Emily puts her hands on my back and gently pushes me forward. You wanted to ask him something, right? I could see it in your eyes. Emily smiles as she pushes the door to the throne room open. I have a few more questions I have to ask my teacher. I'll be a while. But she disappears into the throne room before I can finish. I glance down the hallway. Rod just disappeared down. And then back at the throne room, my thoughts whirl together in a vague mess until I make a decision. Wait. At the sound of my approaching footsteps, Rod turns to look at me. He scowls but doesn't say anything. We need to tell him off. Tell him off of his behavior. Save. I'm surprised I got all of these right. It looks like I messed up in chapter 8 though, that's why we didn't get a good ending. Probably 6 too, I don't remember what I picked for 6. What have I done now to make you angry with me? Nothing. He turns away and I glare as I follow closely behind him. You expect me to believe that? You can at least look at me when I'm talking to you. I reach out a hand to his elbow and he pulls back so that he's facing me. Rod. But the words die in my throat when I see the expression on his face. His face is red and he refuses to look me in the eye. My surprise causes me to release him. Rod quickly turns around and begins to walk away. I am left to stare dumbly after him. What is wrong with him? Normally he is not so afraid to speak his mind. I frown as I feel a dull ache throbbing somewhere deep in my chest. What is this? Why do I feel sad? Normally Rod's distance does not make me feel like this, and yet now, am I really so sad that he does not want to speak with me? I shake my head and take a deep breath to still my mind. It is better not to think about it. Chapter 8? Chapter 8. We're almost done. We're just going to skip this because this is just us watching Emily practice. This is just us trying to learn more about the mermaid's curse. And finding out that Rod's about to die. Oh, there we go. So we run over to Rod, like, to accuse him, like, why you wouldn't tell me that you're about to die. So this time we need to plead with him. Okay, something aches deep in my chest at Rod's coldness, please. Rod stares so strongly that he almost drops the place card he's holding. Please tell me. We have been partners for months now, but I've barely... Yes, I know that it is an unusual partnership, that most of our helping each other has been subtle, but I am only one good deed away from breaking my curse, while you seem to be no closer to breaking your curse than when we started. I will do whatever I can to help you with your curse, Rod. So please, let me help you. Silence falls. Moments later, Rod sighs and he looks away from me. Some unspeakable sad emotions shine through his eyes. Even if I wanted your help, Lucetta, there is nothing you can do. Dread settles in the pit of my stomach at Rod's words. Could I be right? Will Rod actually die if he does not manage to break his curse? Emily told me the story of the Little Mermaid. She said that the mermaid dies if the prince marries someone else. Rod, when Vairika marries Decamon, will you... My voice trails off when I hear the sounds of the door behind us. Is it Ophelia or the king? Rod rushes forward and grabs my hand before glancing back at the door. Ow. I become aware of the weight holding me down to the floor. The impact of the ground against my head blurs my vision, making it impossible for me to see what is happening at first. Am I underneath the dining table? I struggle to try and sit up, but the weight pushes down on me again, forcing me to be still. Quiet? Rod? Why did he push me under the table? I'm about to ask him alone when the sounds of footsteps silence me. I cannot help but remember that Sir Mythos was saying about rumors. If Rod and I were seen alone together by the servants, the rumor will no doubt get worse. But why is Rod doing this? I stay quiet as the people that enter the dining hall begin to talk. How strange of this place to be empty at this time of day. There's a pause, and then another voice speaks up. You better have good news for me, Mythos. Sir Alacaster and Sir Mythos? Rod's hands tighten on my shoulders. Everything is as you requested, Sir Alacaster. There should be no issues. There better not be. You've disappointed me before, Mythos. I would be careful not to try my patience again. Yes, sir. Yes, Sir Alacaster. Sir Mythos sounds oddly subservient, but why? The two of them both rank equally, and neither of them should have to answer to anyone other than the king, unless Sir Alacaster truly is the witch and is forcing Sir Mythos to obey him with a spell. Wait a few minutes before I leave. We should not be seen together. I do not hear Sir Mythos' response, but I can hear Sir Alacaster leaving the room. Sir Mythos sighs out, but is otherwise silent when he leaves the room after a few moments. I exhale fully as the door finally closes behind Sir Mythos. This is bad. I was so engrossed in Sir Alacaster and Sir Mythos' conversation that I only now just realized that Rod is hovering over me. Hey, are you alright? Are you hurt? You look a little... Rod suddenly pauses as he notices our position. He stares at me for a few moments, eyes wide. He scrambles out from beneath the dining table, and by the time I do the same, he is standing far away from me, his gaze fixed on the wall. He is bright red. It would be funny if I wasn't sure I was the same color. Rod clears his throat. It seems that Sir Alacaster really is the witch if he has the ability to make Sir Mythos obey him. Lady Parfait should be told immediately. Rod turns on his heel as he leaves the dining room. Rod, wait. What? This is urgent, Princess. I can't just... When Vyrika marries Decamont, will you die? Rod pauses for a moment, but I can tell from his pained expression that he will not speak. You're running out of time, Rod. My eyes flit between Sabby and Rod. What does that mean? Nothing. He turns away from me once again and starts walking away. Rod. There must be something in my voice that makes Rod stop because he turns to look at me. Please stop running away from this. What would knowing the answer achieve, Lucetta? Though Rod's words are harsh, his tone is soft. There's nothing anyone can do. Leave it alone, Lucetta. It's for the best. I cannot help but get mad at Rod's submissive tone. I move towards him, frowning. How could you say something like that? You are not the only person that will be affected if you keep refusing to do anything to break your curse. Can you imagine what your death would do to your sister, to your mother? Losing you would destroy them. Rod's face is suddenly inches... Why does that look so... maybe it's... I don't know. It looks kind of pixelated. I didn't notice the other ones being pixelated, so it could just be this frame, or it's just me being crazy. Rod's face is suddenly inches away from mine. He places his hands on the wall behind me, caging me in. His face is flushed with anger, but the look in his eyes is tormented. My family has been dealing with the consequences of my actions for the majority of my life. Don't think that I don't know what effect my curse has on the people closest to me. Besides, I don't want to involve you in this too. His voice is a whisper, but I can still hear his words. Rod pushes away from me and stalks off as I stare after him. He says that, but then he does nothing to try to break his curse. I do not understand him at all. What is stopping him? Rod is absent from the palace for the rest of the day and returns only once the sun has set to prepare for the ball. I have not been able to talk to him since, but I assume that he has been to the merchant to tell Delore and Parfait about our suspicions of Sir Alacaster being a witch. I hope they come up with an effective plan of dealing with him. The palace is not safe so long as he is here. The ball is about to start that evening, and I have been asked to make sure none of the guests are lost and wandering the hallways. I've been walking around for a while, directing any late guests to the right direction. That should be everyone. But as I turn the corner and I notice two people lingering by the column. Excuse me, the throne room is... I pause when I look closely at the two men in front of me. I recognize one of them instantly. What is Sir Alacaster doing in the throne room? Outside the throne room, and who is that man with him? Ah, Lucetta. Sir Alacaster gestures me towards him, and I approach wearily. This is Varg. He is one of the guests of the ball. Varg sweeps aside his cape as he bows, and I curtsy and dip my head to hide my expression. I have not heard of a Varg, and why would he be bound to a mere maid? Also, why is he wearing such an elaborate costume and mask? This is not a masquerade ball. If Varg is an acquaintance with Sir Alacaster, there is no telling what or who he truly is. Varg is one of the suitors for Princess Emily. Would you please escort him to the throne room? I will be there shortly. Varg's politeness is even more suspicious. Of course, Sir Alacaster. I meet Varg's gaze briefly and cannot help but frown at the way he's smirking at me. This way. Varg and I make my way towards the throne room, and I cannot help but feel weary of the fact that he is following behind me when I cannot see him. If the maids are this lovely, the princess must truly be beautiful. Varg laughs as I grit my teeth at the sound. What? It was meant as a compliment. There is no need to look at me like that. Varg looks at me curiously. Are maids not allowed to speak in this palace? I have nothing to say. Not the most cheerful person on staff, are you? Thankfully, the doors to the throne room appear as soon as we turn a corner, and I do not have to come up with a response to his words. We are here. I gestured towards the throne room and moved to leave, but Varg's voice stops me. You should at the very least escort me inside and introduce me to the princess, don't you think? Isn't that what maids should do? Technically, this is the announcer's job. But Varg came so late, he probably already missed the introductions. Ugh. I wouldn't want to think badly of any of the servants at this place. I take a deep breath to calm myself before turning towards the doors. Follow me. I can tell the moment I step into the room that the official introductions have already passed. Most of the guests have already begun to mingle and scatter across the throne room as the band sets up. No one notices when I walk into the throne room in front of Varg. I do not trust Varg, not if he is associated with Sir Alacaster. I might have time to warn someone about him while he is distracted, but who? Give me 1 second. Okay, sorry about that. We were having Orkane come to spray the place. I was kind of hoping he would be coming later than this, but that's fine. There we go. We need to warn Emily. Let me save. Okay. My attention is quickly drawn to where Emily is moving between groups of people, introducing herself and making light conversation. I know this would be frowned upon, but Emily's safety must come first. I make my way quickly over to Emily and curtsy just off to the side, trying to draw as little attention to myself as possible. Princess Emily, may I have a word? Emily is clearly shocked at my intrusion, but she masks it well. Excuse me, it appears my maid has something for me. I draw her closer to the walls where the crowd blocks us from view. I wasn't expecting you to be here, Lucetta. Not that I mind, but wouldn't you get into trouble? There's no time for that. I take her hand in mine, and I look at her somberly. You have to watch out for the man in a mask. Sir Alacaster brought him to the ball. Why should I be worried then? I cannot exactly tell her that I think he is a witch right now. There are too many people looking. Just please be wary of him. I'm sure there's nothing to be worried about from anyone here, Lucetta, especially if Sir Alacaster is involved. On the contrary, if Sir Alacaster is involved, I would also recommend staying on your guard, Emily. Rod. I turn in shock to see Rod suddenly standing behind me. You should trust Lucetta. Excuse me. I jump back at the sound of Varg's voice. Rod takes a step forward and places his hands on my shoulders to steady me. I don't believe we've been introduced. Varg looks at me for a few moments, but I say nothing. He eventually turns to Emily, of a wolfish smile on his face. My name is Varg, and you must be Princess Emily. The tales of your beauty do not do you justice. Emily flushes as Varg reaches for her hand. He presses a kiss to the back of it, still grinning. I can feel Rod tense behind me. May I have the first dance? Emily bites down on her lower lip as she stares at him. I become acutely aware of just how quiet the throne room has become. She cannot refuse him with so many people watching her. I feel sick but cannot bring myself to say anything more as Emily puts her hand in Varg's. I accept, Lord Varg. The moment Emily makes her way to the center of the dance floor, a man signals to the band and the musicians start playing. This feels wrong. I can only nod as I watch Varg pull Emily closer. At first, it is just him and Emily dancing, but then other couples gradually trickle in to join them. I do not like this at all. Rod and I watch in silence as the first dance continues on. I know for a fact that Rod must see the dreamy smile on Emily's face as certainly as I can. When the music stops, both of us move as one towards Emily, even though the dance is over and Varg has released her. They still stand close together in the center of the room. The silence is interrupted when the double doors open and Sir Alacaster, along with two knights, stalk into the center of the room where Emily and Varg stands. Their arrival causes an uneasy stir in the crowd. The king rises from his throne, eyebrows drawn. And this is just them not even arguing. This is about Sir Alacaster trying to overthrow the king. Nothing important to talk about. Then Sir Mythos comes with his own knights. They capture Sir Alacaster, send him to prison to then go on to trial later. The king thanks Sir Mythos for being helpful, for going along with Sir Alacaster's plan so you could thwart it from the inside. And then and then Sir Alacaster accuses of Sir Mythos being a witch, but no one believes him. And then I think the ball keeps going, but we'll start from here. Are you alright, princess? I am pulled from my thoughts when I hear Varg's voice. He is now trying to comfort a shaking Emily. For a few moments he looks away and his eyes meet mine. He smiles, but it is fleeting, and a moment later his attention is back on Emily. Yeah, the ball stops just there. Oops, I didn't want to autoplay. I wonder what happened to Sir Fitzgerald. They say he vanished completely last night. Do you think he was working with his father? The truth is, I have no idea what to think. I had thought that I had everything figured out, but now I've become more and more confused by the moment. Fritz was always loyal to a fault, but then Sir Alacaster was the same with the king, and I have not seen or heard of Fritz for weeks. I cannot really say. Ah, good morning, Princess Emily, Sir Varg. Varg was offered a room at the palace for a few days' visit. He is being treated as Sir Mythos's valued guest. I had heard from the other servants that he is Sir Mythos's relative, who lives in a neighboring kingdom. I hope that you're feeling well now, Princess. Yes, thank you for your help last night. Is Emily blushing? I know I won't be here long, but I do hope to get to know you better during the duration of my stay. I would love that. Then I am looking forward to spending more time with you. Oh, I forgot that I am meant to be in my mother's room right now. Lucetta, Sir Varg, I will see you both later. I curtsy as Emily walks off, leaving me alone with Varg. I cannot help but feel uneasy in his presence. Something about him puts me on edge. He's making me feel uncomfortable. Excuse me, I have errands to attend to. Wait. Before you head out, I have something to give you. Give me. Varg reaches into one of his pockets and withdraws a letter that he hands to me. What is this about? Well, I guess you'll have to open it to find out, Princess. My blood turns to ice in my veins. He knows I am the princess. That could only mean that he is. I have no idea what you're talking about. Excuse me. I'm about to leave when Varg suddenly grabs my wrist. The play is just about to start, Princess. You have a responsibility as the main character to perform impeccably until the very end. Otherwise, well, he grins at me. It's the same wolfish smile that he flashed at me during the ball. You might miss out on your fairy tale ending. What? Before I can say anything else, I feel a hand grip my other arm. Someone tugs me back away from Varg, then comes to stand in front of me. Stay away from her. Rod. Varg looks at Rod at the same time. His smile grows more crooked. What an interesting turn of events. I wonder how this will end for the both of you. Tell me, Lucetta, what is he to you? This time we say nothing. No answer, Be in denial all you want. At the end of the day, you're going to have to decide who and what you will choose. Who or what to choose? Silence. You are harassing one of our staff members. Of course. I apologize for my rude behavior, Your Highness. He seems to know a lot about us. Are you I lower my voice. Are you a witch? You're asking the wrong question, Princess. He knows who you really are? I think you two are worrying too much about me. After all, I'm just a pawn in this game. Varg dips into an elegant bow and flashes one last smile before walking away. Are you alright? I am. Thank you for helping me. You know I'd do anything for you. What? What? Rod shakes his head before stepping away. Anything for me? Rod coughs, pulling me from my thoughts. It is possible that he's a witch, or that he is working with other witches, but you have no evidence to prove it. Until we figure out what's going on, you need to be wary of him. I know. Rod smiles at me gently. The look makes my heart thud once, painfully in my chest. Stop staring at me like that. Rod looks away, his cheeks tinged red. I feel my own cheeks warm at the sight. I wasn't staring at all. Both of you are so hopeless. Shut up, Sabby. Rod gives me one last look before finally turning and walking away. I place my hand on my chest, where I can still hear my thudding heartbeat. This feeling, it is as it. This feeling, if it is what I think it is, then I have no right to feel that way about him. He is my stepbrother. I shake my head to clear the thought then glance down at the letter that Varg has delivered to me. There is only one sentence written on it. Come to the throne room alone tonight. Okay. 2 chapters left. This is just us learning that Sir Mythos is actually the witch. He's known all along, and he gives us a deal of breaking Sir Rod's curse for us. So this is nothing interesting. We need to oh yeah, and Sir Mythos tells us that Rod will actually die if he doesn't break his curse in time. So this time we need to confront him and be like, is this really how it's going to end? What are you talking about? Have you ever thought about what your family would feel after they find out that you lied about your curse? Are you going to die when Vyrika gets married tomorrow? You are going to die when Vyrika gets married tomorrow, am I right? That is why you told me there is nothing I can do to help you break your curse, because there really is nothing you can do to help me. Vyrika will never return my love. I have already accepted my fate a long time ago. Lady Parfait was the only one who insisted I find another way to break my curse, because she refuses to give up on you, and I'm not giving up on you either. I've been aware of another way to break my curse from the beginning, but I would rather die than do what it is I need to do. Do what? Have you not read? Rod's voice trails off when he sees my confused expression. He clears his throat. Forget it. There's nothing more you can do. The reason I never told anyone the truth of my curse is because I never wanted anyone to blame themselves for not being able to help me. I was already a lost cause the moment Vyrika really fell in love with someone. I can never take that happiness away from her. Rod becomes silent, his gaze downcast. The vulnerable whatever expression catches me by surprise. You should have told me about your curse a long time ago. How many times must I repeat myself? Telling you about my curse won't change the outcome. I could have tried to help you. Why are you so insistent on helping me? Because I care about you. My face warms up when the words escape my lips. Rod also flushes. What are you saying? That I'm worried about you on Emily's behalf, of course. I do not want her to think that I let you dead. Rod takes a deep sigh. Just stop talking. You are in no position to tell me what to do. Lucetta. There's a hint of warning in his voice. Now you better let me help you or... My words are cut off when Rod presses his lips into mine. It is only a brief kiss, and when he pulls away, his usual somberness has returned. I told you to stop talking. I can only stare at him, baffled. Rod, you do realize that you kissed the princess. Rod looks at Sabby, then looks at me. His face colors once more. He takes a step back, his lips pressed together. I'm sorry. Without any other warning, Rod turns abruptly and stalks out of the room. Sabby falls from his shoulder and falls to the ground, but Rod does not notice in his hurry to leave. I stare after him in shock. I can't believe he just ran away. I walk to where Sabby is and kneel down to pick him up. Are you alright? I'm fine, thank you, princess. Sabby tilts his head to the side. That Rod. I wonder when he started acting like a man. Suddenly kissing a girl like that is so unromantic. I think about the warmth of Rod's lips pressed against mine and flesh again. Rod may not say much, but he has a lot going on in his head. Thoughts he doesn't even want anyone to know. I do not want to speak on his behalf, but I know he really does care about you, princess. He's just a little standoffish and has a difficult time showing his emotion. He's sensitive like that. Take it from me, I'm always in his head. I care about him too, but what will become of my feelings once I break my curse? Will I return to being his stepsister when this is all over? No, this is not the time to mull over such thoughts. I'm sorry for asking you this, princess, but can you return me to Rod? That boy is useless without me. The exasperation in Sabby's voice makes me smile. Sabby acts like Rod's older sibling, of course. When Rod does not open the door, I knock again. Rod's eyes widen as soon as he sees me. His face flushes a dark crimson. I'm here to return Sabby. Rod nods slowly before taking Sabby from my hands. Thank you. Be careful not to drop me again next time. There's a hint of a smile on Rod's face as he taps Sabby's face. Sorry. He looks so much more at ease when he smiles. Rod faces me again with an apologetic expression. Lucetta, I really am sorry for what I did earlier. We need to say you don't have to apologize. I know you did not intend to do this in the first place. The truth is, he trails off, then it averts his eyes slowly to the floor. Suffice to say, I'm not supposed to feel this way about you. What exactly are you feeling? Rod flushes deep red before turning away. Don't ask such an embarrassing question. The hovering silence becomes more pronounced as we both stop talking. You said you wanted to talk to me about something you discussed with Lady Parfait? Yes. I meant to tell you that Delora will be here tomorrow to investigate. Now that we know that Sir Alacaster is not the witch, we have to start our investigation over. Actually, about that, I know who the witch is. You do? It's Sir Mythos. He is the real witch. Sir Mythos, so when Sir Alacaster was throwing around accusations last night, they were true. Sir Mythos is also already aware that Delora has been investigating the palace. We need to warn her. Then I will send Lady Parfait a quick message. We need to keep up our guard around him too, especially you. I'm sure he already knows that you're the crown princess. I nod in response. For now, we should wait for Delora to show up tomorrow. But it's getting late. You should go and get some rest. The moment he says the words, I realize he is correct. My eyelids are heavy. You're right. I think I shall take my leave. I'm about to leave when Rod suddenly grabs my hand. I turn to face him. Lucetta. This is the first time I have heard him say my name so warmly. I just want to... I can almost hear my heartbeat ringing in my ears as I stare at him with anticipation, but Rod says nothing else. Rod eventually releases my hand with a shake of his head. It's nothing. I cannot help but feel dejected. Good night, Lucetta. Good night, Rod. Moments after Rod closes the door, I hear a familiar voice whispering in my ear. Ah, I see. I jump back in surprise and stare at him with wide eyes. Sir Mythos is leaning casually against one of the pedestals. So this is where the prince disappears to every now and then. I had no idea. I had no reason to care before, but now I see it. If my guess is correct, he is also in league with the Lucis bearer. When I do not answer, Sir Mythos smiles and shrugs. Well, it doesn't matter. I glance around us and notice the green shield from earlier. Once again, no one will hear this conversation. Now that the prince has confirmed your doubts, what will your next course of action be? You want to help him break his curse? Yes. Rod may have given up on breaking his curse, but I refuse to do nothing. From the way Sir Mythos is taunting me, he must know of some other way to break his curse. Rod will not be happy about this, but I need to use whatever means necessary to save him. Do you know how to break his curse, Sir Mythos? I will assume that you have not read the full fairy tale if you do not know. Yes, princess, I know. Tell me. Mythos cocks an eyebrow and waves a finger at me. You do not realize how witches work, princess? I propose a deal. I will help you, but you must help me with something in return. Help you? If you're planning on betraying the king. Sorry, give me a sec. I have no plans on taking the crown or harming any of the members of the royal family. Then what is it that you want from me? I prefer keeping you in suspense. I do enjoy surprises. You will find out the day after tomorrow. That is your 18th birthday. I look at him perplexed. Why does that have to be on my birthday? Don't worry, Your Highness. What I request from you will also make a pleasant gift. What do you say? I bite my lower lip in consideration. I am worried about Sir Mythos' request, but I no longer have time. Vairika's marriage is tomorrow, and Sir Mythos has the upper hand. I understand. Good. Now remember, dear Lucetta, witches are bound by their oaths. In order for the prince to regain his voice in life, something must be taken by force, just like in the fairy tale. What does he mean by that? Tell me what I must do. Oh, did I forget to mention this? But it is not you who must act, but the prince. What? If Rod could help himself, he already would have done so. Please trust me, princess. You will have my aid, and I will make sure the prince's curse is broken. Today is Vairika's wedding day, and also the day Rod is destined to die. Sir Mythos explained his plan briefly last night. He told me he would have a valuable item delivered to Rod that he would need to use to break his curse. He further explained that it is something he would need to use after the wedding. I tried to question him further, but he disappeared before I could, saying that he needs to start his preparation. I do not completely trust him, but I am running out of time and have no choice right now. The royal family has left the palace to attend Vairika's wedding. It is unusual for the king to attend another noble's wedding, but Vairika is an exception given that she is one of Rod's and Emily's best friends. Despite Sir Mythos' reassurance, I am still restless. Sir Mythos told me that everything would be alright, that Rod would not instantly die the moment Vairika got married. But why must his involvement be reserved for a time after the wedding? Why does he not act now? Someone looks like they're in a bad mood. Dolores suddenly stands before me smirking. Her appearance shocks me so badly I nearly drop the dishes in my hand. What impeccable timing. We've heard from the prince about Mythos. No wonder I was iffy about the man. I should have realized he was the witch. Do you know him? Yes, I do. Delora walks closer and places both of her hands on my shoulder. Listen to me, princess. I am warning you. Stay away from Mythos. Do you understand? The man is a sly devil. He cannot be trusted. I take a deep breath to still my rapid beating heart. I hope I will not regret asking for his help. Princess, I need you to promise me that you will stay away from Mythos. Yes, of course. Good. For the time being, I will resume my investigation. If I'm lucky, I'll find out what Mythos hopes to accomplish. Actually, he's not in the palace right now. He went with the royal family to attend a wedding. A wedding, huh? How unusual. I can only assume he must be there at the wedding to help Rod. Well, then, better make use of his absence while I can. I'll see you later, princess. When I am left to my own thoughts, my mind returns to the issue of Rod's curse. Sir Mythos mentioned a similarity with the fairy tale, which means I may have a chance of finding out more. I decide to go to the library when I have the time to pick up the book. I am now on my way back to my quarters with the book in hand when I see Rod walking towards me from the other side. His eyes are fixed on the floor, so he does not notice me as I approach. Rod? He's still alive. Does that mean Sir Mythos has succeeded? Oh, it's just you. Rod's voice still comes from Sabby. The realization instills a deep fear inside me. He is still cursed. How much time does he have left? Much to my surprise, Rod actually smiles at me. The smile is forced, however, and does not reach his eyes. He looks crestfallen. We need to, this is our last choice too. We need to ask, how was the wedding? I quickly clamp my hand over my mouth after I ask the question. Rod just saw the person he loves get married today. I already know how he feels. I apologize. I should not have asked that. Ow. Rod looks at me surprised. Then, to my shock, he starts chuckling. Why are you laughing? You look like a criminal caught in the act of a crime. I apologize for trying to be sensitive, Your Highness. Without realizing it, I smile back at him. It looks like Rod has finally learned to converse with me normally. I hope this will not be the last time I see him smile like this. I'm tired, Lucetta. I will now retire for the night. Rod looks at me again and smiles. Good night, Lucetta. Without waiting for my answer, Rod begins to walk away. I glance down at the book in my hands, then slowly open up to the last page of the Little Mermaid fairy tale. I start reading from the section where the mermaid's sister explains how to get her fins back. Take this knife. Before the sun rises, you must plunge it into the heart of the prince, and you will be a mermaid once again. The book falls from my hands and collapses to the floor. I stare at it dumbfounded. Wait, this means Ron needs to kill Vairika? Then the item that Sir Mythos mentioned earlier, could it be the knife? I need to find him. I turn and start running in the direction of Rod's room in hopes that I will still be able to catch Sir Mythos there. When I come to the end of the hallway, however, it is not Mythos who stands by Rod's door. Emily? Emily is slowly walking in the direction of the throne room. Her movements seem oddly mechanical. I rush towards her. Princess Emily, where are you going? Must go to Rod. Why is she going to the throne room? Rod is back in his room. My eyes catch on something shining in Emily's hand. My heart nearly stops when I see that it is a knife. Emily, what are you? If he kills his beloved with this knife, his curse will be broken and he won't die. It is as if she is in a trance. Is this Sir Mythos' doing? Is she under one of his spells? Emily, snap out of it. Emily starts walking again, ignoring me. When I try to approach her again, thinking to steal away the knife, a shadow suddenly comes to stand between us. Varg looms in front of me, smirking. Where did you come from? Let me through, Varg. No can do, princess. Don't you want to save the prince? I look at Emily, who has not even turned to glance at us. I glare at Varg, who is still standing in my way, grinning. Step aside, Varg. Ah, feisty, you are far more interesting, princess, than your stepsister. I try to sidestep, but Varg follows my motions. I try again and again, but he just thwarts my progress. He holds his hands up in the air, eyebrows raised. Tell me, what would you do if I did let you go? Would you stop him from killing the girl? Rod would never kill her. He would never do anything to harm the person he loves. He refuses to do it, and he has no reason to do it now. Varg is silent for a few moments as he considers. Interesting. He steps aside and bows. Go ahead then. You are letting me go? I would like to see this play end as it may, without any strings attached. Chapter 10. Last chapter. I stop in my tracks when I see Sir Mythos standing in front of the main door to the throne room. He looks at me expectantly as I approach. Sir Mythos, good evening, your highness. Such a lovely night tonight, isn't it? Only half an hour left before you will turn 18. Do not forget our deal, princess. Come midnight, I will be requesting your aid in exchange for helping the prince break his curse. I clench my hands in tight fists. Helping the prince break his curse? Rod killing someone is not what I wanted. Sir Mythos puts a finger to his lips. You wouldn't want to attract the attention of the knights, would you? There would be quite a bit of explaining to do then. I glare at him, and then take a deep breath and lower my voice. You did not tell me that breaking Rod's curse meant killing someone. Oh? But I am only honoring my end of the deal. Perhaps you should have done your research before agreeing. The grin on his lips never wavering, but I can see the amusement in his eyes. I relied entirely on the story Emily told me, and that was my biggest mistake. I should have read the full fairy tale. But now it seems you finally know the full story of the prince's fairy tale, To break his curse, Prince Rod must kill his beloved with the knife his sister has brought him, just like in the fairy tale. Sir Mythos continues to smile at me. I realize that he is speaking slowly, like one might speak to a child. So condescending. No, wait. I start to realize that Sir Mythos is purposely drawing this conversation to stall me. I need to go. Mythos does not stop me when I slide past him to open the doors to the throne room. The first thing I see when I enter the throne room is Rod. He is standing in the middle of the area with Emily in his arms. Is she all right? Rod gently places Emily on the throne. He leans down to look more closely at her sleeping face, then reaches down to take the object in her hand before he faces me. I can see the metallic glimmer in his hand and know that he is holding the knife Emily brought with her. Where did she even get this knife? He pauses to stare at it and then turns suddenly, his eyes widening at some sight in another part of the room. I follow his gaze to the corner of the room where Vairika floats in midair. Her eyes are closed and her hands clasped as if she is just sleeping. Vairika, but how? Such a pleasant surprise, isn't it? Sir Mythos walks into the room with his hands clasped behind his back. You. Good evening, your highness. Is this your doing? Sir Mythos just smiles at him pleasantly. Rod glares back at him. Guards. Sir Mythos clicks his tongue and chuckles. My apologies, your highness, but no one will be able to hear you no matter how loud you shout. Not even your witch friend will hear anything through my magic. He knows Delora is here. I glance around the room and notice that Sir Mythos has casted his silent green barrier. This is the same magic he used yesterday. Now let us get back to the matter at hand. You are running out of time, Prince Rod. It would be a shame to see you perish here after the princess went through the trouble of asking me to save your life. Lucetta, what is he talking about? The princess didn't want you to die, so she asked me to help you break your curse. Sir Mythos spreads his arms, gesturing towards both Emily and Vairika. And so I have been kind enough to set the stage and gather its actors for what I hope to be a wonderful finality. I can't help but wonder how this fairy tale will end. Why would you do this, Lucetta? I did not know it meant killing Vyrika, I swear. This is why I came here, to stop you. I told you so many times. There is nothing you can do to help me, and yet you still refuse to listen to me. Because I refuse to let you die. Can you not see that you are important to me, Rod? Oh my, what a scandal. Lucetta. I turned to Sir Mythos and stared daggers at him. I asked you to help Rod. Why did you have to involve Emily in this? It was a necessary requirement that the princess be the one to give him the knife, Your Highness. It was, after all, the mermaid's sister that brought her the knife to kill her beloved. So that's how she knew about all this. She came here crying and begging me to break my curse because she didn't want me to die. I almost wanted to do it. But I could never kill someone. That is why I always refused to break my curse, even if I really wanted to live. Perhaps I miscalculated. Ah, well, this can be remedied. Sir Mythos waves his hand. His fingers begin to glow subtly with magic. Oh, is he gonna take Rod over? What are you... Rod. Oh. A faint green glow surrounds Rod as he doubles over. What are you doing to him? What I should have done to begin with. The witch who cursed him said that he must do this of his own accord, but seeing as he refuses, I am going to have to bend the rules slightly. Rod stands abruptly and begins walking towards Vyrika. The knife in his hand glistens beneath the patches of scattered moonlight in the room. Princess, he's going to kill Vyrika. Stop the Sir Mythos. Where's Delora when I need her? I run towards Rod and wrap my arm around his waist in an attempt to stop him, but whether through magic or his own strength, he continues onward. I end up being dragged behind him. Rod, snap out of it. Rod, I must kill her. His gaze is so glassy, and his words so mechanical that he sounds nothing like himself. No, Mythos, stop this. I am ending our deal. My apologies, Your Highness, but not even I can dispel my magic once it has been casted. It will only fade of its own volition once that needs to be done has transpired. That, or perhaps in the most unlikely circumstance, the prince will simply shake the spell himself. Though Mythos's words are apologetic, his expression isn't anything but. In fact, he looks amused by it all. Not so fast. How did Delora get here? A crimson ball of light rushes towards Mythos. He waves his hand through the air and is barely able to conjure a shield to protect himself from Delora's magic. Delora. It wasn't exactly easy to find you all, especially with the silencing spell. Such a nuisance. That is not important. Help me stop Rod. Frost slowly appears beneath Rod's feet. It spreads up his legs, freezing him in place. I sigh with relief as I collapse on the floor. My arms are sore from the effort of trying to hold Rod back. Mythos clicks his tongue as he faces Delora. I don't believe you were invited to this play, traitor. So we have a magic battle going on while Rod is trying to kill Vyrika. Oh no. Light gathers around Mythos's hand. Moments later, he releases the energy towards her. Delora in turn conjures a barrier, successfully protecting herself from Mythos's magic. I always did fancy myself a party crasher. Still, to think you were alive this whole time. Myth. His real name. He's one of the Briam's bear's servants. Myth is his real... What? Why isn't his real name just Mythos? Myth is just stupid. It's not even an abbreviation of whatever. This person was my mother's servant. Allow me to correct you. I am her only faithful servant. I am nothing like that ungrateful bastard who betrayed her to the fairies. Who is he talking about? Well, whatever it is you're planning, forget about it. There's no way we're letting you get away with it. Oh, well, do try your best. But first, a reminder. I am the superior witch here. Energy crackles in the air as sparks begin to form around his hand. The spell is taking longer than his other spells. I notice Dolores' worrying moments before she is able to cast a shield on herself. This is not good. Mythos releases a bolt of lightning in Dolores' direction. The impact causes both the shield and the ground to shudder. The smoke clears, and miraculously, Dolores stands unharmed. No sooner has a sigh escaped my lips that another frightening sound echoes across the room. There's a loud crack, and I realize that is coming from Dolores' shield. Everything after that happens is a blur. Dolores is still trying to hold the shield up when Mythos casts another spell at it. It shatters, and the magic seeps through and hits her directly. Dolores. Really now, have you forgotten the most important lesson in defense magic? Always conjure another shield after being hit by a powerful spell. Or, oh, I do apologize. Perhaps I did not give you enough time to cast another shield. How thoughtless of me. Dolores lays on the floor, unmoving. Dolores, I am about to rush to her side when Mythos moves to stand in front of me with a mischievous grin on his face. It will do you no good to be in denial, princess. How could you hurt another witch? It is not a crime to destroy a traitor. He looks back at Dolores with clear disdain. Then he sets his eyes back on me and raises an eyebrow. It is foolish of you to try to stop this. You wanted this, and I will not allow you to regene on our deal. The prince will break his curse, and you will help me. Help you? Yes. I went to great pain to make sure Alacaster kept you safe just so you could repay me. You said that you made a deal with Alacaster to borrow the knight's assistance. And what would I need the knight's assistance for, dear princess? I never needed the knight's. I just need Alacaster to keep you safe. I would have gotten rid of him myself if I wasn't sure the king would eventually find me. So this whole time you were only trying to keep me safe? To use me? Use is such a simple, ugly word. Remember, I just want you to help me. Princess. I turn around and realize that Dolores' spell on Rod has faded, and that he is now only a few feet away from Virica. Rod. I force myself to turn towards him as fast as I can manage. I will not let you kill anyone. I do not know what I must do to stop him, but I do the first thing that comes to mind. I put myself between Rod and Virica just as he is about to plunge the knife into her. Princess. Is Mythos going to somehow save us? So we don't die? My body is wrecked with pain the moment the blade sinks into my shoulder. Oh, it just hit our shoulder. Okay. I collapse on the floor and hold on to my injured shoulder. I can feel my blood seeping between my fingers. So Rod didn't let go of the knife. We just kind of sank off it. You fool, you could have easily been killed. I do not care. I love Rod, and I would never let him do something that he would regret for the rest of his life. I cringed, tears clouding my vision as the pain worsens. Lucetta. I feel Rod's arms around me as he cradles me to his chest. I look up at him to see that his eyes are fixed on my bleeding shoulder. Rod looks at me with anguish. He grabs a handkerchief from his pocket and presses it into my shoulder. I cannot believe I did this. I stare in shock as his lips move. It is not Sabby speaking, but him. Your voice. You broke your curse. But how? A bright light envelops us, and for a few moments I have to close my eyes against the brightness. I reach out to grab my necklace, but it is gone. I open my eyes in panic, but the necklace is definitely not there. Lucetta, the glass slippers. I glance down to see a pair of smooth glass slippers on my feet. You broke your curse by breaking mine. I hear the sound of shattering glass and turn to see Mythos staring at a broken vial. Is that? Frost has begun to form at his feet and is now spreading up his legs. What is happening? Always have a backup, as they say. Seems like you're the only one who forgot the basics of combat. Never turn your back on an opponent unless you're sure that they are dead. Your bloated ego does wonders in turning the tides of battle. Delora is now back on her feet and walking towards Mythos. She dusts off her dress as she moves. Delora is unharmed. But how? Did you really think I forget to conjure another shield? The frost has now made its way up to Mythos' neck. Inconceivable. A lowly witch like you could never cast this powerful a spell. Delora gestures at the glass shard on the floor. That's where Parfait's new special potion comes handy. It makes my magic more powerful. The second most basic lesson is to never underestimate your opponent. Looks like you were the terrible pupil. Mythos opens his mouth to speak, or perhaps to scream, but by the time he opens his mouth, the frost has completely devoured him, leaving him nothing but an icy sculpture. Delora, Lucetta is... Has her bleeding stopped? I think so. I cannot make out what they are saying after that. My world starts spinning and everything starts to blur as I close my eyes. I feel Delora's hand on my forehead. The warmth relaxes me somewhat. We got you, princess. Hang in there, Lucetta. My body becomes heavier by the second as I lean my head against Rod's chest, and then I feel myself falling into never-ending darkness. When I open my eyes, the first thing I see are the soft rays of sunlight seeping through the window. I am in my own room. I attempt to sit up and cringe when I feel the sharp pain in my shoulder. I reach out to touch it only to realize that it has been neatly bandaged. Despite the injury, my body feels oddly light, stronger than it has ever before. I remember I placed myself in front of Vairika to stop Rod from hurting her. But where did this energy come from? The door opens and Emily walks in with a tray of food in her hands. She stops when she realizes I'm staring at her and nearly drops the tray in a rush to stand beside me. Lucetta, you're finally awake. I was so worried about you. I'm so sorry. This is all my fault. What are you talking about? It was mine, not yours. I remember bringing the knife to Rod, but I cannot remember much of what happened before or after that. Just that I woke up in the throne room. I saw that you were bleeding in Rod's arms. I thought you were going to. The rest of Emily's words break to pieces as she begins to cry. I'm so sorry for forgetting about you. I made you work so hard while you were my personal maid, and I shake my head with a sigh. It's not your fault. I was cursed, Emily. But I look at her with tear-stained face. She was not at fault, yet here she is crying. She really is a good person. I spread my arms. Lucetta? I turn away, suddenly embarrassed. You looked like you needed a hug. Emily stares at me for a few moments. I am about to reconsider when I suddenly feel her arms around me. I'm so happy. I hug her back and stroke her hair. I cannot help but smile at the warmth that spreads in my chest. Thank you. Emily pulls back, her face full of concern. What will happen to you and Rod now? I saw how close you two forgot, and I saw how Rod looked at you last night. Wait, last night? So today is my birthday, and the day I become the bear. Is that the reason I feel so strongly energized? Oh. Emily walks up to one of my doll shelves and picks up the doll she has placed there months ago. Happy birthday. I meant to give this to you earlier as a surprise before you were cursed. Anyway, I know it's not as pretty as the other dolls from your collection, but I hope that you like it. It is beautiful, thank you. I take the doll in my arms as a knock sounds on the door. Come in. The door opens. Why is Sabby still on Rod's shoulder if we broke his curse? The door opens and Rod steps inside. His eyes widen when he sees Emily. Em? Oh, I was just about to leave. Emily slides off the bed and heads for the door, but before she closes it, she turns to us once again. I know how complicated this is for the both of you, but I want you to know that I will support you. So my lips are sealed. Emily winks before finally closing the door behind her. There's an awkward silence in the room before Rod approaches me and sits on the edge of the bed. How are you feeling? It still hurts, but I will be fine. What's wrong? I am just not used to hearing your voice from your own lips. Oh, but I see that you still have Sabby with you. I've grown too fond of him to completely set him aside. He's helped me through a lot. Bummer I can't read his thoughts anymore. There was never any need for you to do that in the first place. Is that so? Rod shakes his head and sighs silently. So what happened last night? How is that you were able to break your curse? You did not kill Vairika. In the original fairy tale, the Little Mermaid could retain her humanity only if the prince loved her back. Though it never happens in the fairy tale, it is still an element for her curse. But still, because the prince never fell in love with her, the only way for the mermaid to live was to kill him. But I fell in love with you unknowingly. When you told me you loved me as well last night, that broke my curse. I feel my cheeks turn warm. Rod coughs, his own cheeks blushed. So, there you have it. The Little Mermaid never had a fairy tale ending, but I did. I never had to kill Vairika. But because my curse started with Vairika, I assumed it had to end with her too. It turns out that the person I love just needs to love me back. I was mistaken. It never needed to be Vairika. I see. We stare at each other for a few moments, the awkward silence returning. I change the subject as quickly as I can. What became of Sir Mythos? Delora brought him back to Lady Parfait. She is the one who will properly punish him. And what of Vairika? Delora returned her to her home yesterday. She does not remember anything that happened. Everything is back to how it was then. You are back to being my stepbrother. I cannot help but feel crestfallen at this truth. Blood binds, but so do sibling bonds. Rod and I can never have what either of us want. I don't want to forget these feelings I have for you, Lucetta. If I had never made that deal with the witch, then maybe we might have actually been able to be together. But had you not been cursed, our paths never would have crossed. I reach for Rod's hand. He laces his fingers through mine with a small smile. I love you, Rod. I love you too. But... Rod leans forward and kisses my cheek. I know. 1 month later. Okay, this went on much longer than I was expecting. I thought we were going to be done like in an hour and a half. It's almost been 2 hours. Ever since I broke my curse and became the new Tenebrium bearer, I have been training under Parfait and Dolores so that I can learn to control my newfound powers. I never wanted this responsibility, but it is a burden I was born into. It is necessary I help maintain the balance between light and dark that has been missing for so long. Now that I am the new Tenebrium bearer, Parfait wants the two of us to work together in maintaining that peace. Oh, we're actually wearing something new this time. Something that actually looks like something a princess would wear. I do not wish to cause any pain or suffering to the people, especially to the people whom I cherish. Sometimes I still wonder what Sir Mythos wanted me to do for him. But that is not important anymore. I still have much to learn. But right now, I am the new bearer. My priority is to get rid of the fairy tale curse once and for all. For the time being, everyone at the Marchant waits patiently for the day I will learn to lift their curses. Since everything transpired, my relationship with Ophelia and Emily have improved. Emily is fond of calling me the best sister, even though I am the only one she has. My relationship with the king, however, has yet to be mended. I am doing my best to open up to him and give him a chance, but the efforts are slow going. I do not ask why he acted the way he did in the past, but I know that in order to move forward, I must let go of the past. It is finally time. I have been waiting for this all day. I head back into my room to change my dress into something less conspicuous. Afterwards, I head into town and into the forest for my designated meeting. Oh, the forest behind the Marchant? We're actually seeing it during the day. It actually looks pretty nice. It is a relief. The king allows me to leave the palace on my own. I would not have been able to come here with guards. I guess me being the tenebrium bearer puts him at ease. If the title reassures him and allows me to come out here on my own to meet Rod, then I am not complaining. Rod still has the secret passage he has always used to sneak out of the palace. Emily knows about our secret meetings and helps cover for our disappearances if necessary. It makes me happy that Emily approves of our relationship, that we do not have to keep it a secret from absolutely everyone. At first, Rod and I both attempted to keep our distance without making it seem too obvious to everyone around us. Though Ophelia seems to suspect something is going on between the two of us, she has not asked questions. Emily was not happy with our decision. She said she felt terrible that we would be forced to let go of something so precious on account of our titles. She was right. More than that, it was difficult for the two of us to deny our feelings for each other. In the end, we came up with a solution, even if it is temporary. We decided to secretly meet up in the forest every once in a while so that we could be together without any pretense, even just for a little while. When I catch sight of Rod, I run towards him and throw my arms around his neck. I feel Rod snuggle his face into the crick of my neck. May I have this dance? We look like both peasants. That's great. I take Rod's hand and begin to dance to a silent song. The first time I danced with him, it was to prove a point. It was when neither of us even liked each other. I remember this as I stare at him. What, is there something on my face? I was just remembering how much you hated me back then, and now here we are. Fate sure loves to toy with us. I smile at Rod. Just for a little longer. I want to be by his side. I do not know how long we could keep this up, but every day I wish for the same thing. I wish that I can live my life openly loving Rod. I wonder, would that dream ever be possible? And that is the end of Rod's route. It is interesting. I think, I don't know, for where the time period is hinted at, I don't see why they have to keep it a secret. Because that time period, a lot of nobles married family and stuff so they could keep it in the bloodline. So unless the time period is just way different than they've set it up, their relationship would have been perfectly legal, I guess, if you want to call it that. Is it weird? Yes. But would it be normal for that time period? Yes. Overall, the story was fine, I think. I kind of like Karma's story slightly more, though. But Rod's route wasn't bad. I do wish Savvy was on his shoulder still in this last scene. But whatever. I think we have to do Rumpel's route next to be able to unlock Walt and Fritz's story. I also did not see... Oh, there's the achievement. I was like, I didn't see the achievement pop. I don't particularly like this photo. But yeah, I think... Let me look really quick before we end. So if we... Oh, we have unlocked them. Okay, do we want to do Fritz or Waltz's next? And we can break Chris on our own. So that must be to go to the other ones. Okay, this is... Okay. We need to save this. We'll just overwrite that one. Well, now that we don't have to do Rumpel's next, we're probably gonna do Waltz, because I really want to see Waltz's story. And then probably Fritz, because we haven't learned enough about Fritz to care about him, I think. And then we can do Rumpel. We'll do Rumpel at the very end. But that will be it for today. I will figure out what we play next week. But anyway, I will see you all next week. Bye.